Hi, everyone. This is Global Podcast, your window to the world. Breaking news, big ideas, your global hangout for what's happening now, and bold conversations. Wherever you are, we're bringing it to you. Let's get started.
Okay, so you sent over some stuff about what happened in Asian markets on Monday.
Yeah, April 7th.
April 7th.
2025, right?
2025, yeah. And pretty significant drop, and feels like a lot of trade war kind of jitters happening there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the material you showed, it's definitely a pretty sharp decline, and not just, a little blip. It's a big concern, I think, signaling a potential recession coming.
Yeah, and I guess let's get right into it. What did this look like numbers-wise? Because, you mentioned the drop, but just how dramatic was it?
Yeah, so India actually got hit hardest. The BSE Sensex, it fell over 3,158 points, which is a 4.19% drop. And that closed at 72,206.
Wow.
The Nifty 50 went down to over 1,010 points, so 4.41% fall. And it even dipped below 21,750 at one point. So pretty huge swings, in just a single day.
Yeah, I mean, those are some big numbers. And this wasn't just in India either, right? It sounds like it was kind of widespread.
Yeah, exactly. It was, across the board, we saw Hong Kong's Hang Seng that fell a whole 10%.
Wow.
Chinese equities dropped 6 to 7%. And even Japan, which, usually is kind of seen as more stable, their topics, and Nikkei 225, they both dropped 7% too. So you can see how interconnected everything is. And definitely this underlying anxiety kind of throughout.
Yeah, and so what was the catalyst here? I mean, what really set this off?
Well, it seems like it was this renewed trade war, and specifically some of the tariff announcements President Trump made recently. And China right away went and retaliated with a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it seemed like China went beyond just matching tariffs, though, right?
They did. Yeah, they did. I mean, while they did announce reciprocal tariffs, 34% on U.S. goods starting April 10th, I think maybe an even bigger deal is that they restricted exports on rare earth elements.
Okay, so rare earth elements, why is that such a big deal?
Well, these are like essential parts of tons of stuff, high-tech industries like smartphones, electric vehicles, even defense systems,
Right.
So by kind of controlling those exports, they're really putting a lot of pressure on those supply chains and making everyone rethink how dependent they are on China for that stuff. It's not just, an eye for an eye on the economics. It's a strategic move.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And they did some other stuff too, right?
They did, yeah. They added 16 U.S. entities to their export control list, and they even labeled 11 U.S. companies as unreliable entities.
What does that even mean?
Well, basically, that means China can restrict or completely ban doing business with those companies. So it's like, another way to increase the economic pressure and show that they're serious about this whole trade dispute.
Yeah. So what's the bigger picture here?
Yeah.
Like, what does this mean for the economy as a whole? Why is everyone so freaked out?
Well, I think the biggest worry is that this trade war keeps escalating, and that's really going to slow down global economic growth. We could be looking at a pretty serious recession. The tariffs and trade restrictions, they mess up all the supply chains. Things get more expensive for businesses and consumers, and there's just this feeling of uncertainty everywhere, which makes people nervous to invest or do anything, really.
Right. And I mean, the market's reaction is proof of that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that the U.S. Federal Reserve might step in, right?
Yeah, and it's crazy how fast the market has already factored in a potential response from the Fed. Futures markets are now saying we could see almost 5 quarter-point interest rate cuts this year in the U.S.
Wow.
Which means they think the economy is going to take a big hit from this trade war, and the Fed will have to lower rates to try and soften the blow.
Yeah, and I mean, the stuff you sent over also mentioned that the U.S. dollar is getting weaker and Treasury yields are dropping. So is that another sign that people are nervous?
Oh, yeah, for sure. When things are uncertain, investors usually run to safe assets like Treasury bonds, and that drives their yields down. And a weaker dollar can also mean that people aren't so confident in the U.S. economy anymore.
Right. Okay. So to sum all of that up, the huge drop in Asian markets on April 7th, that was a pretty clear response to this escalating trade war, especially the new tariffs and all the things that China's doing to retaliate.
Right. And it definitely raised the fear of a global recession, and everyone's wondering what central banks are going to do next.
Right. And the market basically sent a message that it's really worried about this whole thing.
Exactly. They're definitely not happy about these rising tensions, and they're really concerned that this trade war is going to throw the global economy off balance.
Okay, so here's a question for you. Global finance, it's all connected, right? So how do you think these initial reactions in Asia, how might those actually be like a preview of what's coming for the rest of the world in the next few weeks or even months? And what are you going to be looking at specifically to kind of see how this trade war plays out? Thanks for taking a deep dive with us today.
Well, I think,
You got it.
yeah, well, that's a great question, and definitely something to think about.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
See ya.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.